Hi class, back again with our last objective for chapter 10, objective 5. So without further ado, let's pull that up. Okay, so objective 5 is explaining the biological basis of sexual orientation. So sexual orientation is who you choose to love and be in an intimate relationship with. And so I'm going to go ahead and correct my own verbiage right here, since I just said choose. We think of sexuality or sexual orientation is involved probably more with discovering rather than choosing. If you are straight, you don't think, oh, at one point I just woke up and thought, do I want a man or a woman? And then you decided, oh, okay, I'll take the opposite sex. No, that's not really how it happens. It just sort of happens. And that's the same thing that happens with gay and lesbian people. I want to talk a little bit about gay and lesbian here because I recognize that sexual orientation is a continuum, that there's not just gay and lesbian. Most of the research has been done, however, on those who identify as male gay. And so we're going to look at a lot of research on basically gay men, those who identify as gay men. But it's not to say that other things don't exist or other possibilities don't exist, because they certainly do. It's a continuum. You can be anywhere from gay, straight, bisexual. We just don't have a lot of research on bisexuality or any of the variations thereof. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about genetics and sexual orientation. There is greater concordance for gay identity, and again here I'm talking about male gay identity, in identical than fraternal twins. That means if one twin identifies as a gay male and you have identical twins, the other one is very, very likely to also identify as a gay male. Not 100%, but more likely than if they're fraternal twins and share only 50% of their genes. So what this shows is that because it's not 100% concordance, we see that there's environmental factors involved, but there's also a large genetic effect involved. So certainly genetics do play a role. Hormones play a big role in sexual orientation. And so, but this is not true in adulthood. So in adulthood, you will see that gay men and lesbian women have normal levels of testosterone and estrogen that you would expect for male sex or female sex, okay? Hormones are going to play a part in the sensitive period in utero during the time that the baby is developing. And that really makes a difference with high or low testosterone, like we've seen before. Testosterone affects our brain. Having low testosterone will tend to make your brain more feminized. Having high testosterone will tend to make the brain more masculinized. And that does affect sexual orientation. So we see both behavioral and anatomical differences. So in anatomy, we do see a finger length difference, where in men tend to have the same length of the index finger and the ring finger, whereas women tend to have a more similar length. Men tend to have more different lengths of those fingers. And gay men have more of the pattern that women do. In anatomy, again, gay men are shorter on average than straight men. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of variation. Of course there are. And there's a lot of overlap, but on average. And so in behavior as well, gay men tend to be a little bit more similar to women than straight men. And so when asked directions, men often use this north, south, east, west, which always confuses the heck out of me. Women tend to use landmarks like, stop, turn left at break time and stuff like that. And gay men tend to perform more like women in that than straight men do. Okay, there are also differences in brain anatomy, and we've seen that upon autopsy. Gay men and lesbians show differences that indicate that they've been more masculinized or more feminized. In the case of lesbians, more masculinized, and in the case of gay men, more feminized. So we see it in the symmetry of the cerebral hemispheres. Women in general tend to have more symmetry of cerebral hemispheres. We see that in gay men as well. Connections from the amygdala in gay men seem to be more similar to women. The anterior commissure, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the interstitial nucleus 3 of the hypothalamus, parts of the hypothalamus that, again, are going to be heavily affected by that testosterone early in life. We see gay men resembling straight women. Lesbians tend to be more in the middle. We don't, because all of this was done on autopsy, meaning that the person had lived their life as a gay man and then get autopsied when they're dead, and they find that their brains are different. It's really hard to say whether it's cause and effect, because there may be something about the gay lifestyle that might have produced these brain differences, or they might have been there from the very beginning, but we're not looking at infants' brains. We're looking at adults who have died's brains. Another piece of evidence that we found that there's some biological factors involved is that older brothers tend to, the more older brothers you have, the more likely you are to be a gay man. And so what's happening presumably there is that if you're a woman, obviously you are if you're getting pregnant, then you tend to react to boy babies with an immune system reaction because it's different, more different from your body than a girl baby would be. And so what happens is you get a mild immune system reaction with the first son, and then the immune system reaction gets stronger and stronger and stronger with later boys because you build up antibodies. And that immune reaction tends to inhibit testosterone. So if you have 5 boys, let's say, the last boy gets less testosterone during that pregnancy. And in fact, those later sons tend to be more likely to be gay. Doesn't mean they absolutely will be gay, but again, it's just a higher likelihood. Finally, prenatal stress seems to be associated with sexual orientation. So when we ask the mothers of men who identify as gay to talk about their stress during pregnancy, they tend to report more stress during pregnancy. So high stress pregnancies are going to result in more endorphins and more cortisol. And we know that endorphins and cortisol, these natural reactions to stress, also tend to inhibit testosterone, and that in fact may lead to a more of a feminization of the brain. So there are both environmental and biological factors that are going to be important in sexual orientation, but remember that these biological factors are occurring very early in life, usually in utero, and so even though people don't identify as gay until puberty, when they start to choose partners, the precursors to that were already present in their brain probably by the time that they were born. So we don't really think about choosing sexual orientation as we do think about sort of discovering it. So you guys have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the lecture, and I look forward to seeing you again for the next chapter. Have a great day.